Hi everyone, Monique here, Little Gems Creations 1. Today we are going to be making an extra small dog sweater or a small cat sweater, and we're going to start that in just a moment. Hi everyone, Monique here, Little Gems Creations 1. Today we are going to be making an extra small dog sweater or a small cat sweater. You're going to need some 4-ply worsted weight yarn. I don't have a label on this one, it's just some scrap that I had. You're going to need a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a darning needle. Let's get started. You're going to start by crossing your yarn, and we're working from the bottom up, okay? So this is down around the ribs, and you're going to chain 40, okay? So chain 40 and meet me back. A chain of 40, that's 40. I'm going to go back into that first stitch without twisting my chain. That's why I went along with my fingers and I just made sure that it stayed right. And then I go into that first chain and I slip stitch, and we're going to chain up 2. Okay. Now we are going to do a half double crochet. So let's do that again. So yarn over into the stitch, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. That's a half double crochet. Let's do it again. Yarn over into the stitch, pull through, yarn over through all 3 stitches. I want you to do half double crochets all the way around until you get 40 stitches. Then when you get to the end of this row, you're going to go and slip stitch into that second chain from the chain 2 that we did, okay? Then you're going to do a total of 4 rows of half double crochets, okay? So this will be row 1. Your next row 2, when you come to attach, making sure you have 40 stitches, I want you to attach not into the chain, but into the stitch. And remember, I don't count my chains as a stitch. You're only counting stitches as stitches. So then the next one, I'll want you to go into the chain, and the next one, I'll want you to go into the stitch. And that just prevents my stitches from going all wonky sideways. They seem to go on a diagonal if I do it any other way. And that's how I get around that. If you don't have that problem, then I'll by all means attach as you would normally. But I attach into the chain, into the stitch, into the chain, into the stitch. So 4 rows of this color, and then meet me back. So I've done my 4 rows, and now I'm going to switch colors. So to switch colors, let's see, I'm on chain stitch, so I'm going to go into the stitch. I'm going to take my new yarn and use that to slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to pull that tight in the back, and at this point I can cut my main color. Okay, take that out of the equation for now, and you can even do a little knot if you'd like. There we go. Okay, now following the same formula, we're going to do 4 rows of half double crochet with this color. Okay, so into the stitch, pull through, yarn over through all 3 loops. Yarn over into the stitch, pull through, yarn over through all 3 loops. Okay, so 4 rows of that, and then meet me back. So I did my 4 rows of this color, and now I'm going to, let's see, chain stitch, chain stitch, chain stitch, chain stitch. So I'm going into that stitch, oops, going into that stitch, and I'm going to attach white. Okay, and then I'm going to chain up 2. I'm going to go to the back, and I can cut my yellow. And then I'm just going to put a little knot. This shouldn't bother Puppy or Kitty. If you have a hairless cat, I might not tie a knot. I might just weave the threads in as best as I can, because you wouldn't want the knot to rub on the skin. Or a hairless dog, like a Chinese crested or something like that. But if you don't have that kind, then the knot should not be a problem at all. You're still going to weave in the ends, which will pull the knot flat. Oops. Dang it. Okay. But, so now we're going to do 4 rows of white. Half double crochet. And we're just going to do 4 rows of white. So do that and meet me back. My 4 rows of white. Now we're going to attach with that stitch, not the chain. So I'm going to go back to my main color. I'm going to use that to slip stitch and chain up 2, 1, 2. Okay, and at the back, I'm going to cut my white, and I'm going to tie a little knot. Okay, now here's where we're going a bit different now. So we're going to count 20 half double crochets. So not counting the chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you haven't had a chance, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And if you want notifications of when I've done a new video, hit the little bell. 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, double check. I always double check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and I get 21. So let's try that again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. So I need to take one out. See, I got talking, telling you guys to subscribe and stuff. I shouldn't be so bossy. Just kidding. Okay, so we're going to work back and forth on these 20 stitches for a total of 6 rows. This counts as 1 row. Do not count your chain 2s as stitches. So 6 rows, meet me back. So I did my 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I cut my yarn. I left a bit of a tail, and I tied a very loose knot just by pulling my tail through my loop, and it's very loose so we can pick it out later. Now going back right here, so you see where this has a little stitch in it? We are going to attach our main color in there just by pulling through and then chaining up 2, 1, 2. Now this does not count as a stitch, as I've said all along. And what we're going to do now is we are going to do 20 half double crochets across. So bear with me while I count this out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, now we're going to chain up 2. Now, this is the chest part of the dog sweater or the cat sweater, and you don't want it the same as the back because you don't want it to bunch up around their legs, right, and on their chest. So we're going to decrease. We're going to decrease each end. So here's how I'm going to do a decrease with a half double crochet. So I'm going to go yarn over, into the stitch, pull through. Yarn over, into the next stitch, pull through. I got 5 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops. I'm going to go yarn over and go through all 5 loops. Now this turned 2 stitches into 1. So that counts as 1 stitch, 2, and we're just doing half double crochets in each one now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so 17. So we want this row to have 18 stitches total. So if we're at 17, that means there's 2 left. So we're going to go yarn over, into the stitch, pull through. Yarn over into that last stitch, pull through. 5 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops. Yarn over, go through all 5 loops, and that turned 2 stitches into 1. We're going to chain up 2, and we're going to do the same thing just like we did for the previous row. You're going to keep doing this until you're down to 10 stitches. Do that, meet me back. So I've done down to 10 stitches. I'm just going to take it here. I'm going to reach across to the back, and I'm going to go into that second chain of the chain 2. Bear with me. Working around a camera and stuff. There we go. Okay, we're going to slip stitch through that and chain up 2. 1, 2. Then we're going to pull our loop big. Over here where I told you to make a knot, but a loose knot, this is why. We're picking it out, making our loop big, and we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to go to the front now, or to the chest piece, and we're going to grab the second chain of the chain 2. Okay, we're going to use the tail to just do a slip stitch, and then we're going to pull the tail through the loop, and this time we're pulling tight. Okay, now you can stuff that down the center so it's out of the way. We're going back over to the other side. Okay, now with the right side facing you, we are gonna do 30 half double crochets around for 3 rows. Okay, so 30 half double crochets around for 3 rows. This counts as your first row now. So do that and meet me back. Make sure you end up with 30 stitches and you're not counting that chain 2 as a stitch. Okay, so I did my 3 rows and I attached. Now we're gonna cut a tail, and we're gonna pull our tail through our loop, and we're gonna pull tight. Now you're gonna want to hide your threads, turn it inside out, all that kind of thing. Right now at this point we're done this. So what I'm gonna show you now is the hearts. So taking your main color, you are going to chain 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now yarn over into that very first stitch, and see how I'm kind of wrapping my tail? Catch your tail. Okay. We are going to do 3 double crochets into that stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we are going to do 3 half double crochets into that same stitch. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now shimmy those over, okay, because we still have stuff to do. We're going to chain 1. We're going to do a double crochet into that same stitch. Chain 1 more. And now we're going to do everything reverse. So now we're going to do 3 half double crochets. And this is all still in that same stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now 3 double crochets. Same stitch, same spot. 1, 2, 3. Shimmy those over. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to slip stitch back into that same hole. Okay. Now leave a big long tail because you're going to use it to sew. So I don't know, maybe about 20 centimeters or so. Okay, now we're going to take our tail, pull it through our loop. Our loop should be in the middle here. So we're going to pull tight. And now, if we did our tail right, so here's our tail, and we pull it, you see this hole here? If we pull our tail, that should cinch it right up, which it did. And if it doesn't, no big deal, you can just use it to sew that up. Okay, so see, this is gonna go like this. And you need another one, so do exactly what I just showed you again. So we start by crossing our yarn, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then going into that first and catching your tail, whoops, sorry, yarn over, go into that first, catch your tail, double crochet, so pull through, 2 loops, 2 loops, same spot, 2 loops, 2 loops, 2, and 3, and then 3 half double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, double crochet, 2 loops, 2 loops, chain 1. Now do it all backwards, so 3 half double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, see how I keep moving those stitches over too? 3, chain 2, or sorry, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into that center, leave a long tail for sewing, put your tail through your loop, pull tight. If you did the center right, you should be able to pull it tight. I didn't pull it very tight, but it's tighter than it was, so I can just sew that up when I hide my back thread. And there we go. Okay. So now what we're gonna do, hide your threads on your sweater, hide just the center thread of your hearts, and if you have a space, just sew that up with that center thread. Leave the sewing thread and we'll meet back to sew these on. Okay, so I hid all my threads and I did the center ones for the hearts. So now what we're gonna do is we want to place our hearts where we want them. So I was thinking maybe kind of like that. So you want to make sure that your armholes are on the part that's not facing you, and you want to make sure they're centered, right? Okay. So then once you decide the placement for your hearts, so see here I have kind of it following this line. That's what I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna pin it with these really long quilting pins. So since this one I have following that line, I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. And I'm gonna pin it. There we go. Okay, so they're both pinned down to where I want them, roughly, following this line. Okay, so now you're just going to use the long threads. Get your darning needle on there. Okay, so now here's what I do. I stick my hand underneath because I don't, oh, see? Because this one I went through both pieces and we don't want that. Okay, so I stick my hand to make sure I'm not sewing through. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called a whip stitch. So I'm going into the white just a bit and out through the purple. And I'm kind of following the stitches. So see, here would be my next stitch. Crochet stitch. I'm just going to follow that along. Okay, so see how this bottom edge, we want to keep it with that. So I'm going from the top now, and I'm just going to follow this line. So I'm kind of picking up around the post of the stitch on the bottom and going through the stitch of the heart. Now I'm going to move my pin out of the way. So I'm going around the post on the bottom and through this stitch of the heart. And then we want to have one right at the point. So I'm just going to do a single stitch there, and then I'll keep following up and just going in the stitches. Now this isn't going to be perfect. This is a handmade item, and you know, handmade items aren't meant to be perfect. If you can get it that way, that's awesome, but if you don't beat yourself up. I definitely do not get things perfect. And even when I totally try to get it perfect, complete with taking things apart and stuff, I still don't get it perfect. So there we go. And then I'm going right to the middle there. And then I'm going to, just letting my, sorry, I'm letting it untwirl there. So I'm going to just go in the purple to the back, and then I'm gonna just go in without going all the way through, make a loop, go through the loop once, go through the loop twice, pull tight, and you never cut where you're not. So I'm just gonna do a few stitches. Okay, and then cut. Now you want to do the same thing to the other one. Sew it on, and then there you go. You will have your dog sweater. So I'm not going to show you how to do that one because you've got the gist of it from what we did. So you go ahead and do that, and that's your dog sweater. I hope you like it. Hit the like and subscribe. And if you want notifications of when I've done a new video, hit the little bell. It doesn't always work, so look back on Thursdays because I usually try and post a new video every Thursday. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.